¿Qué pasó, mi gente? It's Mark Tip 25 otra vez. Yeah, in the last video, I forgot to use this little guy to kind of make everything sound a little bit more clearer. I mean, it didn't sound bad in retrospect, but obviously things could be better. Once again, I don't have all the best equipment. I just do with what I can. But anyhow, I just kind of wanted to talk about something I saw today as far as when it comes to the Warriors. Um, Here's my thing. I'm a huge Mavericks fan. I like most everything Dallas and like UTEP sports and all that. But I actually do like Stephen Curry. I kind of saw a lot of potential in him when he came into the league. And I felt like, and this was the year before, and I'm not certain how many times I've told this story. At least on here, I don't think I've said it, but for other people, I've said it quite a few times. Um, that the year before the Warriors made the finals in 2015, I was like, man, that kid has so much potential. If he can remain healthy, I bet you they're gonna win a championship with Curry there. And boom, lo and behold, they won the very next year. And now I know everybody nowadays, and I get it. There's always there's always going to be some sort of asterisk, if you will, on his name because of like the help he had or the path they took getting to the finals and winning those championships. But I don't give a shit. Okay, you play who the fuck is in front of you, and that's all there is to it. And I've mentioned that to other people throughout the comment section and YouTube and other places. So whatever. That's not the point. The point is, I saw Nick Wright talking about the Warriors and their potential to possibly get back to the finals next year with them being 100% healthy. And now with the new addition of Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins has recently been traded to them. So what I'm really going to talk about is just, the Warriors in general, how good of a team they are. Then I'm going to talk about Wiggins, and then I'm going to talk about Nick Wright and like his opinion. As far as like all of that, I mean, there's been other videos out there about this whole situation. You can look at stuff like Dom2K, B Souls, especially B Souls, because B Souls is always talking about Andrew Wiggins on the. Yeah, you see, if you've seen his videos, you know. Rusty Bucket's kind of the same thing. He also talks a good amount about Andrew Wiggins' his struggles. But anyhow, as far as the Warriors, for the most part, have been an amazing team. They were well built, well drafted, and just well operated and run. This year is a down year, obviously, because Clay and Steph are injured, and they really couldn't do much with D'Lo, just specifically D'Lo, and they have some decent pieces like Pascal, and I mean they still have Draymond, but Draymond has not been performing well as of late. I mean, and they still have Kevon Looney. I mean, they have decent pieces. But yeah, it just remains to be seen what's going to happen next year. And I can understand the apprehension as to them being a potential contender. And I'll get to Nick Wright's points in a moment, but just let's remind ourselves. This team has made, 5 NBA Finals appearances, winning 3 of those appearances. So they're not a team that you can take lightly. Okay? Steph Curry is one of the best three-point shooters of all time, and guess what? They have the second best three-point shooter of all time in Klay Thompson on that damn team. And granted, you can argue with me that Ray Allen might be the second, but whatever. I get it. I like Ray too, but I'm pretty certain they're bound to pass up Ray Allen. But anyhow, yeah, they have an amazing team. For the most part, for those years, granted, yes, they had Kevin Durant, and that's the whole big issue. Oh, well, Kevin Durant joined them and made them a dynasty, and if it wasn't for Kevin Durant, but see, again, we will never know that because we didn't get to see that. We saw Kevin Durant there. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, they lost Iggy, Sean Livingston retired, so it's obviously not the same team anymore. And they just recently traded Willie Cauley-Stein to the Mavericks. And I'm probably going to do a video on that soon as far as like my whole thought process behind this. But yeah, The Warriors, for the most part, were well built, well managed. So now everybody's talking about this trade for Andrew Wiggins. They traded D'Lo to the Wolves to get Andrew Wiggins. Now it remains to be seen what they decide to do with him, if they're going to even keep him at all, or if they decide to use him as an asset in a potential trade in the offseason. Whatever they decide, I'm pretty certain it'll be okay, because they also have a pretty decent draft pick. And I'll talk about what Nick Wright's thoughts on that are in a minute. But yeah, as far as Wiggins was drafted number 1 overall by Cleveland and then traded to the Timberwolves for the Kevin Love trade back in that time period. And, Andrew Wiggins started off pretty well. He was starting to improve and he was really looking like a key piece. But then as soon as Karl Anthony Towns came on the scene, he wasn't performing up to par. And, as I said, you could go watch Biesel's video as far as like how he's kind of just digressed and digressed. But yeah, I mean, it's just been a huge issue with him. He's a decent player. He has so much skill as far as like, taking it to the rim. But even then, like he's actually struggled with that. He's supposed to be a decent defender, but he struggled on that. He once in a while will give you a really good, 3-point percentage, but most of the time he's really not even that good. It's just, for a guy that had all this potential to be a superstar, he's really kind of failed. And I know a lot of people are saying, how many more chances are we going to give the guy? And I agree, but I think with him being on a new team, this is his legitimate last chance. Unless the Warriors decide to trade him as an asset. But this is his legitimate last chance. If he cannot prove to be at least a key piece on a contending roster, then yeah, I'm sorry, then he is a bust. We cannot deny that at that point. But he has to prove that he can manage like decent statistics, decent efficiency. And granted, with this team, when it's healthy, he's going to get that opportunity because it's going to be way more spacing, way more opportunity in general. But again, we won't know until we come to that impasse. But as right now, I mean, Wiggins' first debut with that team was not bad. He did pretty well, and he actually helped the Warriors keep the game close against the Lakers. It was just a 5-point deficit. I was expecting them to get blown out by 40, but it ended up being just 5 points. So maybe there is potential for Wiggins to be a decent player. But again, we'll see how the rest of the season pans out, and we'll see if they even keep him, and if they do keep him, how the Warriors plan to utilize him. A lot of people have been saying, oh, he's still going to be this the second coming of Harrison Barnes. And look, I did like Harrison Barnes on that team, but obviously there was a reason why the Warriors got rid of Harrison Barnes in favor of Kevin Durant. Look, Harrison Barnes played on the Mavericks for a while, and I had high hopes for the guy. I really wanted him to, be great for this team, and he had his moments. But he just wasn't consistent enough. And that, I think, is the fear right now that most people have for the Warriors, is that Wiggins is not going to be consistent enough, and it's just going to be the same crap that happened when he was on the Timberwolves. So, yeah, just we'll wait and see how Wiggins pans out when the time comes for Klay and Steph to come back. But after I talk about Nick Wright's comments, I'll give my view on what I think will happen. So Nick Wright was saying, he predicted him to be the 6th seed, but you know how Nick Wright is very biased against the Warriors and in favor of LeBron a lot of the times. He was talking with Antoine Walker, because I think Chris Carter was out, but yeah, he was talking with Antoine Walker about, the whole situation with Wiggins and, if it's going to pan out. And it's well, he thinks it's a bad trade, which, I mean, there's a lot of people that do think it. But he thinks it's a bad trade because, you have an aging Steph Curry at 32. Klay is aging. Draymond is not what he used to be as far as a defensive player, which I agree. He's kind of slowed down. They don't have an Iguodala type player. They don't have a Sean Livingston type player. But I don't know. I think I see a little potential in Pascal. So we'll see how they utilize him moving forward. But yeah, he just sees that this is not a good window of opportunity for this team, given that they just picked up Wiggins. It was a bad trade, and that you're wasting Steph and Clay, and that he's not going to be the same. It's like, okay, but you gave LeBron a chance to rest out for the rest of that season, and he's come back better than ever. But see, you give LeBron that chance, but you don't give Curry or Clay that chance. And again, that is what yet again where Nick Wright's bias appears. That's where his bias appears. The fact that he has no... Oh, and then he also even downs the draft pick. He was... Oh, gosh. There was another team he was comparing that to as far as when they utilized the draft pick, and it ended up being really nothing. Oh, it was the Cavaliers, as a matter of fact. When Kyrie was traded for Isaiah Thomas and a draft pick and other stuff, and then that draft pick ended up being Colin Sexton, who didn't even get to play with LeBron. I was like, okay, but they knew in the off chance that LeBron was going to leave. So I don't see why that's a bad thing to go for. Well, they could have kept Kyrie. I highly doubt Kyrie wanted to stay. Instead of keeping a player that does not want to play for your franchise, why not go for a draft pick to try and start over? So that was just my issue with his argument. It's like, okay, you can talk shit on the Cavs all you want, and yes, they're not in a good place, but the idea was a lot smarter than one would think. I mean, you're in a rebuild process. You know what I mean? There was no way you were going to keep Kyrie happy. I mean, shit, you weren't even going to keep LeBron happy. I mean, shit, what if... And there was a lot of that talk when LeBron was in that process. It's like, okay, well, what if Kyrie stayed and LeBron still decided to leave? Now you have another unhappy player on your team. So you know what? It's just the Cavs could not win in that instance, in my opinion. They could not win in that scenario. It is what it is, though. But that's not what this video is about. This is about Curry. So he compared it to that. But let's not forget, this Warriors organization is the same organization that drafted that team to be a highly contending team. They're a really well organized, organization as far as the draft is concerned. They've drafted pretty well throughout most of that time, and they've made really substantial trades. So I really would not put it past the Warriors to draft a decent asset that's going to, help them out. Even if it's not in the first year, at least make them competitive enough. I just don't understand, given the history and given how this organization has performed, I don't understand why Nick Wright gives no credit or gives no faith in that organization. And just, again, like the whole fact that, Steph and Clay are not going to be any younger, and I get that, but I don't think they're going to slow down that time. And again, 32 is relatively young. Like there's players playing till 40 now, so they at least have another 7 to 8 years, 6 if you want to be, if you want to be realistic. But see, realistic in this situation, nobody can predict the future in that regard. But at least from my prediction, I think they at least have 8 more seasons on their belt that they can utilize. Probably 9 because they're resting this season. But who knows? But overall, I don't think they're going to slow down. I think they are going to come back stronger. I really think that they're going to draft well because they're that well run of an organization. And with Wiggins, I don't know. They've been giving him chance after chance after chance. And again, this is his ultimate chance. But if anybody can really turn around a player, I would think it'd be the Warriors with Steve Kerr at the helm. And even if they don't do that well with Wiggins, I mean, the Warriors are pretty good as far as moving pieces. And again, what if they don't even keep him and they just move him in the offseason as an asset? So it's pretty possible. But if Wiggins does end up performing well for the rest of the season, they do keep him, I think the Warriors have the potential to being at least the third seed. Ever like freaking Nick Wright and well, Nick Wright is always biased against them, so he has them like at the sixth seed. Okay, I have them at least the third because I think with the Rockets are okay, but and they're doing really well, but there's always such an inconsistency with the Rockets. So I don't think the Rockets are gonna be the third seed. If anything, they'd be the fourth or fifth potentially. So I think it's gonna be the Warriors at the third seed because you have the two LA teams at the first and second seed. You know, I mean, granted, the Mavericks are getting better, but again, I'm about to make a video on my current situation and thought process on this team, the Mavericks team. But overall, that's just my prediction. I think the Warriors are going to at least be a decent contender in the third seed. Will they make the conference finals? I think they have the potential to, but I don't think it's likely. But I do think they have the potential to at least get one more championship before all is said and done. Whether it be next year or the year after that, my mind is banking on the year after. But I don't, yeah. To say that they have absolutely no chance or that they're completely finished is, that's you're severely underestimating the how great this team has been. You know, people were talking shit about, well, people forgot how good LeBron is, and now people are starting to forget how good Curry and Clay are. So, I don't know. We'll see what unfolds, but yeah, that's my prediction. Those are my views on Nick Wright's comments and Wiggins. Again, it's a mixed bag with Wiggins. But anyhow, let me know what you think in the comment section. Suscríbete a mi canal y hasta el próximo, mi gente. Adiós.